I know you guys all like to be noticed with your fragrances, and it's summertime. I thought I'd put together a list of fragrances that I think have great projection and leave a massive trail, a very, very sexy trail, fragrances you can wear in the summertime. So I've got a top 20 list for you today. Find out what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're talking about top 20 summer fragrances with the sexiest sillage. Sexiest sillage meaning leaves a great trail, people notice you, find it sexy, all that good stuff. I have to be honest, some of these fragrances are not necessarily classified as summer fragrances. They might be a little more intense, but I wear them in the summertime and they have really, really great performance in the summertime, and they have great projection, and of course they've got that sexy trail. Great sillage on these fragrances, and especially when you wear them in the heat. So I'll let you know what they are. Before I do though, if this is your first time tuning into this channel and you haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. I want to find out from you guys, have you found a new fragrance that you wear in the summertime or in the heat that actually has great sillage, sexy sillage, great projection, all that good stuff? Let me know. Put a comment down. We're going to go ahead and get started at number 20 with a fragrance from the house of FRAPIN called 1270 Extreme. Very, very interesting. This one comes alive in the heat. It's much better in the heat. For me, it's a great smelling fragrance, but I think the word extreme is not really doing it any justice because it's not necessarily more extreme than the original fragrance. I like this particular version because it's also fresher fruits in comparison to the other one where it's warmer, drier fruits. But this one has pineapple, jasmine, sambac, vine flowers, apples, rose, patchouli, tonka beans, vanilla, and Guaiac wood. So it becomes ambery, but it's the kind of ambery that doesn't get cloying. It's sweet, but it's not overly sweet because it's got the fresh fruitiness, and it smells fantastic in the heat and with great sillage. FRAPIN 1270 Extreme is the first fragrance at number 20. The next fragrance is a brand new one from the house of CARTHUSIA. It's Amare. This one right here in the most gorgeous bottle. Look at that bottle. This bottle is just beautiful. Very, very beautiful design work from this house, CARTHUSIA. If you don't know about the house, go catch a video I shot in their perfumery in the island of Capri in Italy from a couple of years ago. But this one I tested recently while I was in Italy. It was hot, humid, very, very wet, sweaty kind of weather. And this thing, totally smells great in that heat and humidity. And I think it has great, very, very sexy sillage as well. It's got watery notes, salt, mint, rosemary, bergamot, cedar, Guaiac wood, and along with musks and patchouli for one fantastic, very, very sexy marine aquatic salty sillage. CARTHUSIA Amare is in number 19. The next fragrance is another new fragrance that I have been wearing on the trip. I wore this on the trip and I really, really love the way it smells. It's LOUMARI's PORTHOLE, brand new fragrance. This is a fragrance that also features salt. Salt is kind of interesting. It adds a kind of a marine-like experience to fragrances, but it's lots of pineapple, bergamot, salt, ginger, with passion fruit, white flowers, caramel, white musk, and woods. So it's got a kind of a marine-ish kind of thing happening with the sea salt or salt note in here, but it's fruity, pineapple and passion fruit. There's definitely this fruitiness, but there's this kind of warmth under there, kind of a vanilla caramelly warmth with the musks and the woods, and that ginger adds some zing to the fragrance. It's really, really delicious. Great trail. It's LOUMARI PORTHOLE at number 18. Moving on to the house of XERJOFF, it's DECAS, this one right here. And once again, this is kind of an ambery fragrance experience, but it comes alive in the heat for me and it has great projection with very, very sexy sillage. It's citruses and resins, kind of an ambery experience, but there's also the tobacco and powdery orris and vanilla in here, along with some kind of a floral experience with the tuberose. It's a really, really delicious fragrance, and the sillage and the projection is even more massive when you wear this particular fragrance in the heat. It comes alive in the heat. So DECAS from the house of XERJOFF is at number 17. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of JOVOY. It's 21 Conduit Street, this one right here. Once again, this one's super sexy in the heat. Projection is pretty massive with this one, and the sillage, of course, is very, very sexy. This particular fragrance features notes of fir balsam, Ambroxan, with wood, woods along with grapefruit, rhubarbs. There's some almonds. There's bits of aromatic lavender with tonka beans and bergamot. Very, very beautiful fragrance. I like the Ambroxan in here. It adds this kind of amber, woody, kind of salty marine experience along with the other notes. Conduit, 21 Conduit Street from the House of JOVOY at number 16. Next fragrance, going to the House of MANCERA. It's Intense CEDRAT Boisé, this one right here. And this one actually has been intensified in comparison to the original and a little more darkened and made a little more woodier as well. But it's all very, very creamy, fruity experience with lots of citruses here, loads of citruses, along with fruits of blackcurrant. There's spices added to the fragrance. There's leather, there's oud, there's white musk, oak moss, ambergris, jasmine, and sandalwood. If you like a more intense version of CEDRAT Boisé, the Intense CEDRAT Boisé should do just perfectly for you, and it's a great smelling fragrance. I really love it, and it's perfect in the heat, and it's super, super sexy smelling with that sillage. So MANCERA Intense CEDRAT Boisé at number 15. The next fragrance I'm talking about is definitely perfect fragrance to wear in the heat. This thing comes alive, and it has one of my favorite notes, and this is a note that has this staying power, this lingering power, and this is actually a recent winner as well. It's won some awards. It's Eccentric Molecules Molecule 1 plus Patchouli, and basically has two notes, ISOE Super and Patchouli, and it's kind of minimalistic, but it has great staying power, great sillage, very, very sexy. I find Patchouli is super, super sexy. It's also got its muskiness. This ISOE Super note that's in here kind of has a cedar wood / lightly sandalwoody kind of an experience with a little bit of a muskiness there. It's really, really delicious fragrance. Eccentric Molecules Molecule 1 and Patchouli for a great sexy sillage. And this particular fragrance I featured quite a bit. It's MANCERA's Hindu Kush, and once again it might be a complex and intense fragrance, but this one to me in the heat comes alive and leaves a massive trail, a very, very sexy trail, and garners me compliments as well. It's cannabis, incense, woods, spices, patchouli, amber, guaiac wood, vanilla, labdanum, and white musk. The cannabis in here doesn't smell very camphoric. There is some kind of a cannabisy thing in there, a presence in there, but it kind of has a very creamy kind of woody experience with some spices and light green kind of camphoric things running throughout the fragrance. There's definitely some vanillic touches as well, and loads of musk and patchouli. So it's MANCERA Hindu Kush at number 13. It's a delicious fragrance. So this is another fragrance I recently picked up on my trip, and I wore it in the heat, and again, I can't stress how hot it was in Italy, in Milan where I was, and also in Turin and a few other cities. And this fragrance came so alive, I'm featuring it here, but I think this one, use caution. This is Juicebox Fragrances or Juicebox Perfumes 14-Hour Dream, and I got it engraved at the Juicebox boutique in Milan, as you can see right there. They put the perfume guy on there, my initials SJ. This is kind of a patchouli, woody, ambery kind of an experience, but man, it's a super sexy trail. Really, really sweet and ambery with a little bit of a medicinal touch running throughout the fragrance, but it smells great. It's sandalwood, vanilla flowers, patchouli leaves, saffron, ginger, orris butter, guaiac wood, cedar, and black pepper. Great trail. Really, really great. I kept smelling myself, and the heat totally amplified this stuff, made it even sexier. So Juicebox 14-Hour Dream. I love the way that smells. Another one that I wore throughout the trip. It's Fragrance du Bois Blue Intense, this one right here. I can't believe this is so good. It smells so good on me. It's like lots of citruses. Citruses kind of fade into kind of ambery woods with some oud, but man, it's really, really great and very, very long lasting. It's cozy, it's citrusy, it's juicy, ambery, woody. It features mandarin orange, cardamom, nutmeg, frankincense, amber, labdanum, myrrh, oud, styrax, and benzoin. Yes, it does settle to an ambery base, oudy, woody, but definitely lots of citrus, juicy mandarin orange with the spices up top to make for a citrusy spice combo with kind of a woody, ambery dry down. So Fragrance du Bois Oud Blue Intense is a great smelling fragrance. If you don't know that one, do check it out. I really, really recommend it. I can't believe how great it is, and I'm discovering it so late. So another fragrance that comes alive in the heat for me is Amouage's Lyric Man. So far, most or all of the fragrances have been unisex targeted. This is a male targeted release, but still very, very unisex for me. A woman can totally pull this one off. Lyric Man is rose, lime, angelica with galbanum, musk, incense, pine, sandalwood, vanilla, ginger, and saffron. It's a delicious combo. It acts a bit icy. It acts a little juicy. Very, very, you know, jammy kind of a rose experience with that kind of like tart lime. And then throw in some, you know, the galbanum and the angelica adds kind of a green kind of a vegetal experience contrasted with the rose and the lime. Great smelling fragrance, wonderful fragrance, great in the heat, super sexy in the heat. It's Amouage Lyric Man for a great smelling rosy experience. The next fragrance is from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is a Gentle Fluidity in the Silver edition. Very sharp, very metallic, but man, it warms it up when you know, it hits your body. That's the sharpness of this fragrance kind of like disappears, making it kind of a warm, almost like Ambroxan kind of an experience in here. There's probably something similar in here because they mention amber woods, but it's a very, very sharp and metallic fragrance wearing experience up top. You can actually experience the sharpness when you put it to your nose. Lots of juniper berries here, woods, musk, coriander, nutmeg, amber woods, and vanilla. And I think once it hits your body warmth kind of brings out the kind of like soft vanillic touches of this particular fragrance, but it's really, really sexy. I find it to be great, and then in the heat, it just totally blooms and comes alive and adds a great, great trail. So Gentle Fluidity Silver from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian at number 9. The next fragrance I'm talking about, if I can find it, here it is, from the house of Profumum Roma. It's Orangea. I actually first bought this fragrance in Rome, once again in the heat, in September, very hot and humid, and I started wearing this one and I was surprised at how great the trail was, and I found this kind of like orangey green, citrusy, woody combo with some light aromatics running throughout it to be super sexy experience. It does have great projection in the heat, and the fragrance kind of sweetens up and blooms on you when you spray it and start wearing it in the heat outside. But it is a great smelling fragrance from the house of Profumum Roma. Orangea features petitgrain, bergamot, cedar, and mint for a great smelling citrusy fragrance with super sexy projection. This is Profumum Roma's Orangea at number 8. So this next fragrance is a new discovery for me from the house of Electimus London. It's Trahan. This is a great smelling fragrance that kind of reminds of Baccarat Rouge 540, but with loads of citrusy touches, and that makes for a great, wearing experience. It's got lots of projection. It is definitely on the sexy side because of this kind of muskiness from this kind of Baccarat Rouge-like experience. But if you're in for something similar to Baccarat Rouge, but something with more citruses, definitely check this one out. It features saffron, blood orange, ambergris, mandarin orange, lavender, sage, oak moss, cedar, lemons, and bergamot. So there's loads and loads of citruses here. So if you've been wearing something like Baccarat Rouge or maybe even Oud for greatness and you want more citruses for the summer, definitely Trahan from the house of Electimus London at number 7. Next, go into the house of XERJOFF. It's Accento Overdose. This is a great smelling fragrance. It smells wonderful. It's also kind of green and floral with fruitiness there, and that there's this kind of like a woody undertone with this particular fragrance with lots of green notes, fruits. There's pine and eucalyptus with jasmine and lily of the valley with rose and some balsamic notes thrown in, kind of an ambery woody experience in the dry down. A great smelling fragrance, lots of projection and sillage here, and I find it to be very, very sexy the way this smells. So Accento Overdose, it's from the house of XERJOFF at number 6. Now this next fragrance is very, very popular in the community, and I feel like that the smell is just really, really wonderful. This is Nishane's Hachivat. Has great longevity with lots of pineapple, oak moss, grapefruit, bergamot, woodsy notes, cedar, patchouli, and jasmine. This is really, really intense fragrance. A little goes a long way. It's also very sharp and woody. Fruitiness, floral touches, and zing. Lots of zing here with grapefruit. The combination is great. It's a distant relative to something like Aventus from the house of Creed, but it's totally different, It's got this kind of like very, very sharp, thick, woodsy experience with this kind of green, and I shouldn't say green, more kind of like a zing with the grapefruit note in here. Great smell. It's Nishane Hachivat at number 5. Next, go into the house of Thomas Cosmala. It's number 4, Après l'Amour. So this is Once again, very similar to something like Baccarat Rouge, but more in a dry, very dry, woodsy direction. And they mentioned dry woods in this particular fragrance, dry woods with amber, musk, aromatic notes, with spices, bitter orange, lemon zest. So it definitely has a little bit of a citrusiness, but it's lots of woods and amber experience with that kind of like hint of something like Baccarat Rouge in the background, but it's overwhelming, very intense, really loud, and I find this kind of combination of notes very sexy, and it smells great, and it has really great longevity, massive projection, and you know, a cloud all over you for a long time. So this is Thomas Kosmala number 4 Après l'Amour. At number 4, next fragrance going to the house of Le Labo. It's another 13, and once again, this is all of these fragrances I'm talking about today come alive in the heat. This one is definitely one of them too, and I like this because it's a ambrette with ambroxan and jasmine and oak moss, and it creates for a very musky and very sexy experience with lots of sillage and projection. It does have a kind of a minimalistic experience, but that ambroxan, oak moss, ambrette, and jasmine combo, it's super sexy. I find it to be very delicious. Anytime I see ambrette seeds in a fragrance, I check it out because I love this note. It's a natural ingredient that used to create a musky experience in fragrances. So Le Labo, another 13 at number 3. And I can't forget this particular fragrance from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It's Baccarat Rouge 540. I'm going with the original in this particular video because the red bottle, the X-Ray, is even stronger. You can go with either, but I feel like it's summertime. You don't want the density, the intensity, but maybe you do. Go for it. This is ambergris with ambroxan, saffron, jasmine, cedar wood, and I find it to be great. It smells great. It's very popular. Maybe you might want to avoid this fragrance because many people know about it. It's a big seller, and it's also cloned and copied over and over again, but I still find this to be really great, perfect to wear in the heat, and the notes amplify and creates for a wonderful sillage, very sexy sillage. So Maison Francis Kurkdjian Baccarat Rouge 540 at number 2, and at number 1, going to the house of Mise en Cire, it's For Your Love. So this is once again kind of sort of like Baccarat Rouge, but different. It features notes of exaltone, which is kind of a musky note, cachalox, which is kind of like ambroxan, but it's to replace or replicate ambergris. There's a fruitiness in here with raspberry, a little sweetness and resinous touch, a little smokiness from benzoin, and of course some earthy woodiness and sparkliness from patchouli to create for one very intoxicating and delicious fragrance wearing experience. This comes alive in the heat. It really does, and it makes for a sexy sillage and creates a beautiful cloud around you and garners compliments. Totally does. Mise en Cire For Your Love at number 1. You know, I'm really falling in love with this house of Mise en Cire. All fragrances created by Alberto Moria, run by his daughter. But I really like a lot of their fragrances, and I'm going to dig into it more. And hopefully we'll do an overview of the entire brand, because I have several fragrances from this brand now. But either way, that's my top 20 list. Let me know if you're a fan of any of these fragrances. Let me know if you have a fragrance that you've discovered recently that you wear in the summertime that has really sexy sillage and great projection. Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Last but not least, I'm going to feature this particular fragrance from a friend of mine who actually is going to be featured in my Scent Club Kit 1. If you didn't catch my video yesterday, I mentioned that I'm launching a sampling kit, perfume sampling kit called Scent Club, soon to launch. I have a link in the info box. You can go sign up to be notified when it launches very soon. It's a kit with samples of 3 different fragrances, and they're 5 ml samples, so you get to use them for a bit. And if you end up liking the fragrances, you can go buy them directly from the website, off of my website. But I'm featuring this one called Eau de Vertu, as I featured it in that kit, and it's very sexy, super sexy with this one. Very unique notes, and it has a very musky experience. Lots of mimosa here with a mineral accord. There's ginger for some zing, some green notes of galbanum, hinoki wood, lily of the valley, clary sage, oak moss, and musk. If you wear this, you're gonna get compliments because it smells really, really delicious. It's a little overwhelming, it's really, really loud, but I really, really love this particular fragrance, so I'm including it as a bonus fragrance. And also to let you know that Scent Club is launching soon. You can find out by going to my website. You can't really do anything there right now. You can just put your email address in and you'll be notified once it launches. Anyway, Eau de Vertu is the bonus fragrance for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye-bye.